Hey everybody, it's Rob here. We just got the full patch notes for Season 4 and I want to go over it and talk about the buffs, the nerfs and all the quality of life changes that is coming with Season 4, as well as give a brief outlook on a first tier list draft and the top builds here for Season 4. So yeah, the patch notes is going to be linked here in the description. And there is a lot of changes, so we're not going to go over every single change, we're just going to focus on the majority of new things basically. So the first thing is here, we already know all this, like masterworking, no more animation, hell tide is going to be amazing. So the first thing here is balance adjustments, and this is the first big question mark, and also the reason why we have to take a lot of stuff with a grain of salt, because it says here, many tempering affixes that were either overperforming or underperforming have been adjusted to meet the intended power levels. So this is like a lot of wishy-washy, we have no idea what this actually means. This could mean that the entire tier lists are going to change again, because we have no idea if they maybe, you know, nerfed some, I don't know, Tornado temper affixes, or they nerfed, you know, the Bash Barb temper affixes, or something else, you know. Maybe they even nerfed, you know, the close damage and the max damage, and then the Thunderstruck is uncapped, but it might not go as high anymore. So there is a lot of like question marks still. So take this still with a grain of salt, because we're actually missing some significant information to make the most educated guesses of how strong some builds will be. But I'm still hoping to provide you some insights also, for example, on how much the Dust Devil Barb got nerfed and the Frozen Orb Sorc got nerfed and things like that. Same as here for the Tempering Affix, the maximum size has been kept to 100%. This is affecting a lot of builds, such as Frost Nova Sorc, such as the Meteor Sorc that I posted, such as the Dust Devil Barbarian in particular, and a bunch of other builds, basically, like capping the size at 100%, Corpse Tendrils for the Necromancer, for example, as well, is a huge impact on everything, basically. Then we have the itemization updates here with the Codex of Power and stuff. And then here the first very interesting change is that the minimum level required to equip sacred and ancestral items have been reduced. So we have sacred at 35, it used to be 45. So this means you can do the transition from World Tier 2 to World Tier 3 much earlier. In fact, 10 levels earlier if you are feeling strong enough to do the Capstone Dungeon. And actually do World Tier 3 Hell Tides as soon as possible to get an even bigger XP multiplier, because they also increase the XP in World Tier 2 but also in World Tier 3 significantly. And Ancestrals, this will be for your transition to World Tier 4, has also been reduced from 60 to now 55. So yeah, we have a lot of power creep, and we're gonna be in World Tier 4 probably about level 50 to level 55. It's gonna be pretty cool. And then there are more changes here in red. They unfortunately didn't color all the changes in red, but most of them are gonna be red. Helltide Reborn, like we already know all this stuff, so not really any crazy things right here. The Tortured Gift, this is like a new Helltide chest that basically doesn't even cost any materials. That's pretty cool. And then here we're starting with the first stuff. So the Yen's Blessing, these are the boots that basically cast a skill. Non-mobility, non-ultimate skill. I use this, for example, to cast my shouts, and it has been buffed significantly. That's actually pretty cool. Makes the unique a lot more viable. So 60% now, and 8 seconds internal cooldown. So this can be used, for example, to double cast your War Cries and stuff, and it triggers some more Dust Devils and just a bunch of other things here. But I think the main use that I used this for was on Barb, just to proc even more shouts, right? Because the shouts are pretty strong on the Barb. But you could also use this on a Sorc, for example, to keep casting Flame Shields. By the way, it looks like Perma Flame Shield is still possible. That's going to be pretty amazing. More on that later. And then, yeah, here the next biggest change, Frosty Strides. So for those of you who don't know, this is like a top Sorc build. I'm going to put like some videos here where this was from Mekuna here, so big shout out. How he's just like blitzing through the highest pit. And this is basically an aspect. You're playing like an injured Sorc build, and this surprisingly has not been mentioned in the bug fixes or in the nerfs. And you guys can see here, like this completely one-shots every pack in pit 200, and will probably be the strongest Sorc build, especially because we are getting nerfs to Frozen Orbs. Again, take this all with a grain of salt. We don't know yet, because we don't exactly know all the nodes. But this looks pretty strong, and it also has Perma Flame Shield. And Perma Flame Shield also still looks possible. It depends a bit again on how this first node here is impacting the Flame Shield duration. We don't really know, because they might have changed the way that Flame Shield duration works, or like how high it was on the PTR. But yeah, basically it was revolving around pressing your Flame Shield. Whenever it comes on cooldown, you press it again to achieve full immortality. They did nerf the Hectic aspect, the one that reduces the cooldown reduction. But it might not be enough, because they also buffed the dodge chance cooldown reduction that you get from attacking. So it's actually looking pretty good for this Frosty Stride build. But we'll see how that's final look. We're going to get to it a bit later. But yeah, again, it's going to be many times like this. This tempering affixes have been adjusted if they were overperforming or underperforming. Like, we just don't know exactly what it means. But that's going to be a pretty cool build. Frosty Stride Sorc, if you haven't played it, it's a lot of fun. It's just not really recommended for, beginner players, because you have to play an injured build. And if you have full life, you're not going to deal any damage. But this probably is going to be next to Frozen Orb, which has been nerfed, the top Sorc builds. Concussive Strife, this is still the same. Okay, then we get to the Barbarian. Sadly, there are no buffs for the Ancients. And you guys know, like, I've tried the Ancients builds, and these Ancients pretty much dead on arrival. It's a cool item, but these Ancients, they don't really deal any damage. Much to the contrary of the minion Necromancer, for example. But yeah, these are very weak, so I do not recommend anybody playing this. There was also some bugs involved. They fixed some small bugs, but the overall damage has not been changed. So unfortunately, this leaves the build, or this unique, in my opinion, pretty dead on arrival, unless there's something crazy going on that I don't know about. But doesn't really seem like it. Same goes for the Twin Strikes. These are the double swing gloves. I don't also think there's not any build that plays this. Not even the double swing builds plays this. But it's also like a not really usable unique. Then we get to the first nerf here, and this is for Dust Devil. So Shouts now, instead of 5, create only 3 Dust Devils per activation. And they did something with the size. I'm not really sure what this means, because it was already 20% on the PTR. But in general, Dust Devil has been nerfed pretty significantly. I'll probably make another video about this. Like, I put all the changes here. And Napkin Mars suggests that this has been like divided by 8 or something, divided by 5 to divided by 8, depending on what you're playing. There are basically a lot of Dust Devil nerf, but again, I'm gonna make a separate video later today or tomorrow about this very thing. Just know that Dust Devil is probably still a somewhat viable build, but not really a strong build anymore like it used to be on the PTR. Then we have the Druid here. Also a couple changes. Maul is getting a bit stronger, which is always cool to see. I think Druid was a bit underperforming, apart from the Tornado Druid, of course. But all the rest of the builds, I think Hurricane also later gets some buffs, which is pretty cool. But let's try to stay a bit in line here. Necromancer, they did fix the Ebon Piercer, which was completely overpowered. I think they nerfed it about divided by 50, because there was some crazy bug with the lucky hits. And this has been adjusted. Then we're getting here some more buffs for Skeleton Mage and minions, and yeah, this is just the minion Necromancer is going to dominate this season most likely. It's one of the highest ranking builds, hitting for billions of damage, and there's no changes in sight. So this is, and Adam Jackson said it in the dev stream as well. Everybody is going to be playing minion Necromancer. Why would you even play, anything else on the Necro at this point? It's pretty strong. Rogue, the Scoundrel's Kiss project pattern is now more predictable. This is pretty cool. You can also play like a ranged Rogue now with Rapid Fire. And Rapid Fire is looking to be, in my opinion, one of the stronger Rogue builds. I think there's a cool video here from M1PI, so big shout out as well. And yeah, he was rocking some pretty solid builds here with this. And this is like how the playstyle works. Like, you just basically like shoot out this crazy amount of arrows, and it can easily do like pit 200 at least before they increase the difficulty. But this is a pretty solid build, probably the strongest Rogue build, and also the only Rogue build I think that's gonna make it in A tier as of now. But again, work in progress. Cool change. Then on the Sorcerer, they did change the Fractured Winterglass. This is the Frozen Orb Sorc. It was proccing way too much, and they reduced the proc rates, and they also reduced the interaction with another aspect that was proccing it as well. So it's the aspect of the frozen orbit. So you have to proc it by casting it yourself. No other procs will proc into it. So this probably means that frozen orb is about nerfed by 50 to 60% for the frozen orb build. But this is not really that much of an issue, because this was one of the fastest, but you can see here Accurite clearing a run in about a minute. And even if this damage is nerfed by about 50 to 60%, so about half the damage, it's still gonna be one of the best builds next season. Obviously, it's gonna have nothing on Tornado or Minion Necro, but it's probably gonna be a strong A-tier build here with the Frozen Orb, and it's hell of a lot of fun to play and very cool. And you can see here, very fast indeed. Then we keep going here. Frame Weaver, this one has been now splits fireballs to 3 instead of 4, and the damage buff to 30 to 70 from 30%. This is also the starter set for the Sorc. So if you don't know, I made the video yesterday. Every class is getting a starter set. I'm just going to show this to you here real quick. So Barb gets Dust Devils, Druids gets Pulverize, Necro gets Minions, Rogue gets Barrage, and Sorc gets Incinerate. So this is why they buffed Incinerate so significantly. And I was thinking about putting Incinerate definitely into B tier with these buffs. So it's looking pretty strong. I actually haven't done this yet. And who knows, man, it might even jump on top of this B tier. So this is some pretty significant damage buff here again. So really, really happy to see this. Yeah, that's about the Sorc stuff. Then we have general balance updates, and this is a cool one here for the Barbarian. The Razor Plate, this has been the chest that basically only gives Thorns as unique affix, didn't even have primary affixes. It now has 4 Thorns affixes, means you can also mastercraft on it, and it gets a new unique power where Thorns has a 10% chance to deal up to 2.5 times increased damage. So we have already seen the Thorns Barb actually hitting bosses for up to 200 million. And this might actually, unironically, be one of the best Barb builds, depending a bit on what they do with Bash Barb and some other builds. But this is extremely strong. There's a cool video here from Do Not Hit Me, such a fitting name. And this is like a very, very strong build. And you're basically just relying on the enemies hitting you. And once they hit you, like this is a pit 200, they just die. And yeah, this build just rocks this pit here in like sub 2 minutes. And it's getting even stronger with this new Razor Plate double buff, basically. You now can masterwork it. And it also gives you a bunch of a new multiplier, basically. It's like a bit RNG based because it's like a 10% chance to deal double 2.5 times damage. But yeah, you can see here, like even on the bosses, like it rocks it down pretty quickly. And I think towards the end here, he's also hitting for some pretty good damage. You guys can see here, it's like 10 million, and then there's a 200 million hit. And yeah, this is gonna be like double, so it's gonna be hitting for like 500 million probably if you get like a good, but it's only a 10% chance to hit for that. So on average, you're getting a 15% damage increase from what you've seen here, and this build already does pit 200 in sub 2 minutes. Very strong build. So Razor Plate buff W. Assimilation got a bit nerfed, less fortify. I never played this. I think it's not really that strong. So we'll see. Then we have the Hectic aspect. We talked about this with the Immortal Sorc. It's still possible, probably, to play Immortal Sorc. It's just going to be a bit harder because Hectic has half the value. You can still put this on the Amulet and get 50% back, so you can get 3 seconds on the Amulet, and it's going to be still pretty strong. Miscellaneous monsters will still deal more damage the higher level they are, but their relative damage reduction will remain the same from level 100 onwards. This change was made to account for level 200 monsters doing extreme amounts of damage. So they are basically reducing the damage that the monsters on high levels, for example in the pit, deal. This is going to make it a lot harder to get one shot basically from them. So even if you have a bit of less toughness, as long as you have your armor capped, your res capped, and some life, you're probably not going to die from one hit, which is a pretty cool change. But I'm also a bit afraid that at the end we can just ignore toughness because, you know, we're just going to be tanky enough to just go full DPS. But we'll see. This is just like something I'm a bit afraid of, but We'll see exactly what's going to happen there. We also get some more damage reduction here, so this is like a double scaling, like especially on Barb and Druid and probably classes that have it easy to fortify, like Minion Necro also has easy fortification now. You get like another 5% DR, which is cool. The cooldown is kept, physical damage reduction, so armor, you just need 9,240 armor and you are kept. You don't need more than 9.2k armor ever again. So that's a pretty cool change. And then here, this is the one that is helping the Sorc a lot. So they basically buffed all the implicits again. So the boots implicits are buffed, the resistance implicits are buffed. It's going to help you to reach rest cap, and the single rest on rings is buffed as well. But this is the biggest one here for the Immortal Sorc. So the attacks reduce evades cooldown. Affix has been increased from 0.8 to 1.5. So this is almost nullifying the effect of the Hectic nerf. So you can just, because like this Force Stride Sorc is basically using the evade to deal damage. And it's still going to be insanely strong if you can just double your evade cooldown again. Then we have Barbarian. This one is also a big one that I'm going to cover in a separate video where we talk about Dust Devils. So the maximum number of Dust Devils that can be active at once is now just 15. So you guys remember, like this is how it looked on the PTR. 3, 2, 1, let's blast. This was the PTR, so I don't know how many this is. This is like probably 200 or something. And this has now been nerfed to 15. They also move faster, so that means if the Dust Devil move faster, it ticks less on the target. This is another nerf, and they also disappear sooner. This is yet another nerf. So in the end, I think I have another clip here. Yeah, here. This is like the clip they showed, so this you can just ignore this. Like on the right side here, you can see the new Dust Devil Barb. You see like the twister hits here and then it just goes away like into the corner or something. So it's like significantly less compared to like what it was on the PTI. It's very hard to say exactly how much it's nerfed, but it's nerfed pretty significantly. Yeah, it goes from like, I don't know, 200 to 15, but this is mainly because it was also frying people's PCs. But then the problem is they also nerfed the area of effect. You know, Dust Devils was scaling with scaling damage multiplicatively with how much area of effect it had. And yeah, I mean, it definitely lost a big damage multiplier. Again, I'm gonna make a separate video going into all the details there. Yeah, and then there's like, this is just PTR changes, so everything here is like kind of expected. And then here, another nerf to Dust Devils. So you guys remember Double Swing? It used to be one Dust Devil per double swing, and then every other double swing, every second double swing, you get triple. They straight up removed this triple amount, so you only get one Dust Devil per double swing instead of 1 and then 3. To compensate, they buffed the damage a little bit, but this is like, obviously like with the 50 nerf and with like triple less twisters and less size as well, and faster movement, they got hit very hard. So this has been nerfed. The same here for the Fierce Winds. It's also been nerfed from 5 to 3, so every shout only gives 3. Then we get to Fields of Crimson. Here we got a slight buff, but yeah, Rend buff is not really looking all that great, especially now that the AoE is nerfed. AoE nerf, small Crimson buff. I'm probably gonna put this down to C tier. The Rend build looked pretty cool, but yeah, like without the size, I don't really see it being that great anymore. We have the Ancient's Oath here. The duration is increased a bit. This always helps, but it's not really that great. Not really impactful enough. On the Druids, yeah, awareness, we have some more damage reduction. Got more tanky on the Druid. They also increased the tankiness of the Wolves. Triple. And then here's a pretty cool one, very interesting. Hurricane. Damage got increased. So they fixed the infinite, like, you know, trillions and trillions damage stacking on Hurricane. But they increased the base damage of 40%. And if you remember my video, you can still snapshot overpower. There's no bug fix for this, so this is probably not changing. You can still snapshot the overpower over the entire Hurricane duration. So that means this build gets a 40% damage buff and can snapshot overpower. And I think it's gonna be solid A tier build in the end. We'll see. It's looking pretty stoked. 40% damage buff, infinite damage is fixed, but overpower snapshot is still there. So pretty strong build, Hurricane. Okay, then we have here a bit of Lacerate buff. This is actually a pretty significant buff. I've not really tried Lacerate builds, but they might have a potential to be B or A tier. We'll see. Let me know in the comments if you know if Lacerate is good. I have not tried it with this skill, or I have not seen much of this. But cool change. Wax and Gibbons, replace with Spirit on kill. This is very good. Spirit is always welcome on the Druids. And then yeah, here we get to the minions, and there is no to the Necromancer, and there's no minion nerfs. So you can probably still have a rank 28 Golem Mastery. And we were actually like looking at it earlier, and it seemed to have played the Uno reverse card on the Hodabab, because before it was hitting, the Hodabab was hitting for billions, and now the Hodabab is hitting for like 50, 60 million. And now we have the Necromancer hitting for the billion, so like, you know, it got like 100 times the damage of a Hodabab now. So it's pretty strong. Base movement speed duration has been increased, so that's pretty cool. Like, Necro is just getting all the buffs, it's so cool. I mean, Necro has been very bad in Season 2 and Season 3, so now they reverse the roles. Like, Necro is the new Hodabab, basically. Minion Necro. It's gonna be insane. And the second upgrade of additional Shadow Balls fires every 3 seconds, down from 4. Yeah, pretty cool. So even more minion buffs. Has now additional Shadow Balls fired every 3 attacks. Oh, actually, they changed this a bit. So it's 4 on the live server, it was 2 on the PTR, and now it's 3. So actually, this is a slight nerf. But I've seen the mages hit for 100 million each, so yeah. It's probably going to be very fine. Bone mages now cast Bone Splinters or Bone Spear every 6 attacks. So this is just every 6 attack instead of 25%. So also like a slight bump down, but again, like the Golem Necro is where it's really at, I think. Mages are still very good, but the Golem Necro, especially as a boss killer, that guy is slapping. That guy is slapping every Uber boss. Yeah, there's two slight nerfs, agreed. Yeah, there's still so much in these patch notes, it's crazy. Yeah, but the minion Necro, the Bone Mages is still looking like very, very solid in S tier. I mean, you see, like you could like change it by like divide it by 10, and it would probably still be S tier. Like that build is really strong. You'll see when the patch goes live. I'll play it. It's gonna be fun. Okay, now changes here. Littlest Wall, Lucky Hit increase, Essence gain increase, good stuff. Necro got a Dominate Glyph nerf. I don't know, this one came out of the blue for me. I didn't really feel that overpowered Necro builds were so strong. Oh yeah, they tuned this the same way they tuned the Dominate Glyph on Barb. So from 40% down to 15%. But again, the minions are not really playing overpower. So this is just a nerf to like everything else that's not minion. I think this is like kind of unnecessary, but it puts it in line with the Dominate Glyph on Barb. So I see why they did it. No dividing the Necro, man. Divide and conquer. Hey, there's some Rogue buffs here. Again, I think the strongest build on Rogue is going to be the new Rapid Fire. It looks pretty strong. But yeah, you have some buffs here. I'm not really sure if it's going to be enough to make the Rogue really viable. I felt like Rogue was the weakest going into the PTR, and yet now coming out of it, it's probably still the weakest class. I don't know what you think. Let me know in the comments. I mean, Rogue has a couple of cool builds, but it doesn't really have anything in S tier, and it's not even like on the same map as any of these builds here. So we'll see. Hard to say, but I've not really seen anything that crazy. And we have the Elemental Surge completely nuked. So Rogue was really working well with Elemental Surge, but Elemental Surge has been like divided by 16 or something. So yeah, Rogues are not eating good this patch. Minion Necro is where it's at. Can you use Concealment, Resistance, and Max Resistance have been in duration from 4 to 6. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, we need more buffs here. Damage bonus has been reduced. Ooh, they even nerfed, I didn't even see this, they even nerfed the Beast 4 boots. You guys remember maybe the Kamehameha Rogue? The Rogue was doing like, I think like 1 or 2 billion damage as well with this. But this has been further nerfed. Dang. Damage bonus increased. Okay, Eaglehorn got a bit of a buff. Skyhunter got a bit of a buff. Ah, yeah, man. It feels rough for rogues still. I'd really hope to see some additional buffs for ranged rogues, man. Ranged rogues. Could be a lot of fun. Where's even the ranged rogues? I mean, like Rapid is kind of ranged, but this is like the only rogue build that's on the map, I feel. I don't know, here Barrage and TB, like maybe B tier, but tough. I'll look a bit more into it. But I don't really know that much about rogue. So we'll see. I'm just taking an educated guess here. But rogue, I did not see anybody that did like some crazy stuff apart from the elemental search. Yeah, Frozen Orb is looking very strong. Frozen Orb, like top of 80. It got about 60% damage loss, but still very strong. Okay, casting a Conjuration skill damage reduction got a little tuned down. I think 25 was too much as well. It's just for free anyways. Okay, crit damage buffs. Okay, here, Tarasha's Loop. So here are like a few small Sorc nerfs. Maximum stacks now capped at 4. I mean, you don't really get more than 4 anyways, unless you're using Elemental Search. And most builds didn't do this, so this doesn't affect really anything, because you're mainly Lightning, Fire, Cold. And then the 4th one is already hard to get. And the 5th one is almost impossible. All resistance increased. So that's pretty cool. This is not really a nerf, actually. This is like just a net buff, because you almost never have more than 4 elements on your Sorc. Flame Scar damage increased, Staff of Endless Rage increased. It's gonna be some pretty cool stuff. Fireball and stuff is gonna eat in good. Evade grants movement speed duration from 2 to 3. Yeah, sure, we'll take it. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, loot updates here, like all the stuff that we discussed. The elixirs got summarized. User interface, very nice. The Gauntlet, this is also one that surprised me. I actually kind of like this change, even though I don't like Gauntlet. But basically, boss monsters won't drop a shrine if they have been regenerated by the Pillar of Proving. So the Pillar of Proving is the shrine that respawns the monsters. This means that you maximum have access to 5 shrines during the Gauntlet. You can't, you know, get to the boss, kill it, take the artillery shrine, reset it, kill it again, get another artillery shrine. That won't work anymore. You will only have 1 artillery shrine. You'll only have, most likely, 1 channeling shrine. You can't get 5 of them anymore per boss. So that's gonna change the Gauntlet meta quite a bit. And it's gonna make it, obviously you're gonna get less score, but it's also gonna make it better, because it's gonna make it less dependent on shrines. I like this, but Gauntlet still has a long way to go. And I would much rather see them adding leaderboards for the actual end game of the pit, rather than the trials, where it's just about speeds. But it's less about shrines now, and that's definitely a W change in my book. They added Tormented Ruins, 1 more Nightmare Dungeon. Miscellaneous. So this is also a big one. There was a lot of people that were kind of cheating in the Gauntlet by playing with an ultra wide screen, or just dragging their window so they can teleport a lot further in the game. So if you can see further, you could leap and teleport further. I've shown this in many videos when we did the Gauntlet, when it came out. You could basically like leap or teleport into spaces where you couldn't even do it. For example, if you're playing on the PlayStation with a controller or something. So they actually fixed this. So there is a max cap now. So even with ultra wide monitors, you can't traverse this. Another good change actually for the Gauntlet. Bunch of bug fixes here. So fixed an issue for Barbarian where the guaranteed overpower from Earth Striker aspect could not be used on Ground Stomp. So in my book, this is a nerf. Why would you ever want to waste an Earth Striker proc on Ground Stomp? But I don't know. This is basically a nerf, this bug fix, but okay. Fixed an issue where each hit from Ancients summoned by aspect of Ancestral Charge would grant stacks of the Flawless Technique Legendary. This is also, I guess, a bug fix, but it's another nerf. And this one is also a bug fix. This is a slight buff where Call of the Ancients did not properly scale with ultimate skill damage. But again, this Call of the Ancients, it sounds cool on paper, but it's really weak in practice. It's one of the few F tier builds that I have. You don't want to play this. Maybe in leveling you can play it for a little bit, but after that, man, it's not an endgame build, man. These pets on Barb don't deal any damage yet. We have a bunch of bug fixes here on Druid. I'm not gonna get into all the details. You can see here and read it in the description. Yeah, so Necromancer here fixed an issue where Shadow and Bone Mages did not cast Blizzard. Bunch of stuff here, but basically like no crazy nerfs to any of the Golem or pet stuff. Also some bug fixes here for Rogue. Good stuff. Some bug fixes here for Sorcerer. Meteorize, summoned by Armageddon, wouldn't deal damage. That's a cool. Maybe Meteors get a bit stronger. You got the size nerf, but you're getting some more procs here. Tooltip for Incinerate. Crackling Energy could fail to spawn. In general, fix an issue where cast abilities such as Frozen Orb and Chant by triggering evade cooldown reduction from the Affix. This is actually a major nerf to the Sorc stuff. And this might also affect the Unstable Currents. It might also affect things like Fireball Enchant, reproccing your evade cooldown, and things like that. So we will have to see exactly how it will work. But I think the intent is only your own attacks count to evade your cooldown. But we'll see if this is actually going to be the case when the patch launches. Fix an issue where monsters would stop spawning during the Cursed Shrine event if presented monsters were killed leveling up. Nice stuff. Bloodmark Pair. Yeah, just a bunch of cool bug fixes here. I think I saw one more very exciting. So lots of miscellaneous. I think what I've missed is... Oh, here, this one. We just missed over it. So here are the new bonus experience. So World Tier 2 goes from 20 to 50. So leveling in this patch is going to be a breeze. World Tier 3 is going to go from 100 to 150. And again, keep in mind, you can switch at level 35 when you can wear Sacred Weapons at level 35. And Ancestrals at 55. So you can switch to 3 and World Tier 4 significantly earlier. Plus, you're getting way more XP. Plus, you're having the insane Hellfire, Helltide buffs. Plus, you have insane new itemization with tempered affixes. We're going to be flying to level 100. I really think that we're going to be hitting level 100 in sub 10 hours. It's going to be as fast as it has ever been. It's going to be completely nuts. And another cool change is, for those of you who like trading, you know, guys, now we can trade unique items and we can also trade legendary items. And they actually implemented some of this feedback here that I gave as well. So pretty cool. I've been talking a lot and we have been creating a big list of feedback with you. And yeah, one of the things here was that we're going to get basically with the biggest gold thing, enchanting significantly changed. Gold inflation is going to happen. On top of that, we have extremely rare items now with the greater affixes. How are players supposed to trade these items? A GG 3 out of 3 legendary or 4 out of 4 unique will be worth way more than 10 billion gold. Consider increasing the cap, or it will encourage real money transactions. And look what they did, man. They increased the gold cap. Now I assume it's gonna mean billion here instead of trillion. I mean, 99 trillion gold cap, I'll take it as long as there's no duping. But I think 99 billion gold cap is all, which is what they mean, because current gold cap is basically 10 billion. So this is gonna be a 10x. So you can now carry 100 billion gold. So you can actually trade these kind of items. If you get, you know, like a 4 out of 4 Tempest Roar or something, or 4 out of 4 like GG Talbot's Will, or I don't know, like a 3 out of 3 like GG Barb Weapon or something, you'll actually be able to, you know, engage in trade with this one. So let's say this is the one I found on the PTR. If you find a weapon like this, like 925, triple greater affix, Fury on kill, main stat, max life. And you can hopefully like trade this for like 15, 20 billion gold or something. So it's going to be pretty cool. The gold cap has been increased. And yeah, overall, guys, this has been the patch notes. Again, I'm going to link them in the description. There is a lot of cool stuff happening for the season. And I'm going to make a separate video, obviously, with the full tier list. Once it's fully done, I still have to do some testing and digestion. But yeah, it looks like this is going to be the season of the Necromancer. Minion Necro, especially the Golem Necro, and the Mage Necro are looking incredible, completely destroying the hardest bosses in the game, hitting here for a lot of damage. And here, 3.8 billion hit just on this guy, like the Golem just cramping down on the boss. And Tornado is also looking insanely strong, but again, take this with a grain of salt. We don't exactly know all these changes, especially this line here with the temper affix. It's just a big mystery, and I hope we get some more clarification, because this can just mean anything. Tempering affixes that were overperforming or underperforming have been adjusted. Like, this is just a full wildcard. Like, they can just buff and nerf anything they want, and we will have no idea until the season starts. So I really hope that we get some additional clarification of what this means for, you know, a bunch of builds, such as like, will we have perma flame shield? Will, I don't know, the Vornado even double the twisters? Like, will the bash barb even deal damage? And like, this is like a bunch of things that we have no idea what's going to happen with all these tempered affixes. Will the Thunderstruck node still scale this high? Because maybe the close damage is gone or something, right? Like, it's just a big question mark. I hope we get some clarification, but it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna make a lot more videos. Dust level nerfs, tier lists, everything. Build guides for the top builds. It's all coming, guys. Stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed the overview. Season 4 will be awesome. Take care, my friends. GG. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.